Yay.
Hi there, Pamela here from Smarter Change. And as you know, I work with pregnant women, so I do hypnosis for childbirth and to help them have an easy perimenopausal transition into postmenopause and beyond. And I'm here today with Catherine, who is a physiotherapist, but also specialises in women's health too. So, hi, Catherine.
Hi there, Pamela. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, so I
So,
do women's health physiotherapy. So a lot of people haven't really heard of that, but I'm trying to get the word out there with Pamela's help. So in a similar way, it does help postnatal ladies and menopausal ladies to understand what's going on in their body and their pelvis and how that affects all sorts of things across their life, from back pain to mental well-being, to sexual health, to continence. And so those kind of issues ladies come to me with, maybe they've had some surgery or so on and they want to recover from that, or maybe they just had a baby, which can feel a bit similar. And so I help them identify what their individual problem is, because everybody's different. It's not just about doing pelvic floor squeezes. There's lots of other things that are relevant, and that's one of the things that we're going to tackle today. I think, Pamela, is to talk about how important posture is with pelvic health.
yeah, definitely. And it is something that I do teach my ladies in my course, my easy birthing course, because it has a really big impact on your baby being able to transition down into the right optimal position for birthing and your recovery as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and beyond, because as we were discussing last night, weren't we, about it's not just about you anymore. You're carrying your baby, you're lifting your baby, you're carrying bags around, you're rushing around, you're sitting in slump positions, maybe when breastfeeding, and so all of these things can affect your recovery time, it can affect your well-being during that process and ongoing.
Definitely.
A lot of it's about raising awareness.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So when I work with my clients for hypnosis of childbirth, a lot of people really think that it's just about having a perfect birth or pain-free birth or fear-free birth. But it's more than that. It's really holistic, and it's about preparing your body while you're pregnant and then having the birth that you want to have, and also the healing process and being a parent as well. And so when we're talking about pelvic floor health, why the techniques that I use that keep you calm while you're in labor and reduces the trauma that you possibly could have when you're giving birth, so that your pelvic floor muscle isn't traumatized and there's no prolapse and risk to your physical health after you've had this child, and then if you go on to have the consequence in other children as well.
Yeah, I think an analogy springs to mind. It's not a very pleasant one, but if a baby falls out of a first floor window, generally they don't break any bones because they don't really know what's happening to them because they're relaxed. If an adult with all their knowledge throws themselves out of a first floor window, they're likely to break lots of things because of that tension in the muscle and because of that anticipation of pain. And I think that sounds like what you do a lot with hypnobirthing, is to settle the body right down into a relaxed state. And so the body can just get on with what it's naturally made to do. And I think that's so important. I think the other aspect also is being strong, having those muscles doing something, not just passively letting go, because there are two aspects. You want them to relax, but you also want them to contract at the right time to move the baby and turn the baby. And that's their major role during labour. And lots of people kind of think that it's all about bearing down and holding your breath and pushing. The whole muscle cylinder of your pelvis should be kind of pulsing and contracting to push the baby out. And the stronger your pelvic muscles are in a healthy way, as in they're able to contract and relax, the better your birth is going to be and your recovery. So treat it like any other muscle. If you, for example, in labour had a tear, imagine tearing, for example, your jaw, the muscle here. That would be very obviously incredibly sore, painful, swollen, and everybody would give you a lot more than 8 weeks to get up and about and eating big steaks or whatever. So, you've got to think about your pelvic floor in a similar way, even though we can't see it or you don't present it to people very often. It's such a huge, important part of your pelvis, and you've got to give it the right treatment and rehabilitation, not just forget about it and let it stiffen up and just deal with itself. Got to help it through that recovery.
Absolutely. And one of the techniques, the first technique I teach my ladies actually when they come to see me is to breathe properly. It's called upward breathing or belly breathing. And what that does, it does a lot of things. One, it helps you feel calm. It helps you to go inside yourself. And when you're actually in labour as well, it helps you to bring on more oxygen in your muscles, and it also helps that peristaltic wave so that you're working with your body and your baby to birth your baby out, in a calm, natural way, reducing any possibilities of tears as well. So that is the first technique I teach my ladies. And then, you probably know more about this anyway, being a woman's health physio.
Yeah.
Say that again, Catherine.
Sorry, I lost you. Sorry, just say that again. You were saying about breathing, and that's great to reduce tears, and it's a natural way to give that peristaltic action. So after that, I lost you.
Okay, right. Okay, so then on the second, so when they use the upward breathing, we use that during pregnancy and the first stage of labour. And then as you transition in through to the last stage, when the baby's transcended down the birth canal, we then move to another type of breathing, which is called J breathing. And that's because there's a natural bend in the woman's pelvis. It's like a J. And we, instead of pushing the baby out, we breathe the baby out in a particular technique. And so then you're not holding your breath and building all that pressure up within the abdominal cavity, and risk of tearing is increased if you hold your breath, which is what, if you follow the natural, what we've been told how to give birth, or how I was told to give birth, was to push rather than breathe baby down, is damage.
Yeah, and I think that if you've been lucky enough to have a brilliant birth after guidance from yourself, the pelvic area still needs to recover, because maybe not in a damaging way, but it's a huge event for the whole body and the pelvis, and your hormones are flying everywhere as well. And so just like the breathing, breathing has an optimal posture. If you're kind of slumped down, then your ribs will kind of compress your abdomen and restrict the diaphragmatic movement and so on. And so posture is something that can really help all the way through both pregnancy and labour, the birthing positions and recovery. I wanted to talk about the root of posture, because lots of people think it's about sort of tummy in, chest out, whereas actually I think it's about the pelvis. So, that song, I can't remember who it's by, but it's called All About the Base, and this is really your base. These two sitting bones here, what you sit on. So, anybody who's watching, if you're sitting down, if you just sit nice and upright and stick your hands underneath your bottom.
I find myself sitting up right now.
Yeah. Okay. And can you feel the two knobbly bits underneath your hands?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wiggle side to side, you can feel them moving. So if you slump back, so do a proper slump, so let your shoulders curl down, let your hips go forward. And can you feel those bones move forward? Yeah. So come back up to sitting, and they come back on top of your hands. And now if you stick your bottom out and lean your chest forward, you can feel those bones move backwards. Yeah. Yeah. So the ideal position for our pelvis and therefore our spine and our brain and our lungs and our head is to be sitting on your sitting bones. That's why they're called what they're called. And that's the neutral pelvic position. So we've gone from, where are we, sitting, that's pretty neutral. We've slumped back, these bones have gone forward, our back's kind of curved down here, and then we've gone through the middle again and stuck our bottom right out, and that's created a curve back here, chest out, and it's tilted our pubic symphysis forward. And this is a lot where mothers stay in pregnancy because their baby's pulling their pelvis forward, and that creates a bit of back pain here and so on. The opposite, a lot of other ladies do, and again, it's a perfectly normal coping strategy, is that they sort of sit into their bones of the hips and they tilt their pelvis backwards. But that creates a different load on the pelvic floor, And it also means that your glute muscles, your bottom muscles, don't really have to do much work for 9 months, and then they get weak. They also connect to the pelvic floor, and that, again, like we were saying, pelvic floor has a muscle, it has a movement and a job to do. If this is weak and not supported by the glutes through pregnancy as a result of difficult posture, then that's going to affect your birthing. So it's a bit of a whirlwind, but really it is. Even if you're not pregnant, if you're a man, sitting on your sitting bones is really important, or the best thing for good posture in any walk of life. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Really, really good information, because a lot of pregnant women go into that tilted pelvis, naturally, without even realizing, and the center of gravity is no longer going through the spine, it's going through, well, the lower back is taking all that load, isn't it? And then you've got distortions going on with muscle tension, and then possibility of baby not going into optimal position. That would be the worst thing, isn't it? That your baby can't actually engage into position.
Yeah.
Birthing.
Or your muscles aren't strong enough to facilitate the baby moving happily, and then you end up with cesareans and whatnot. I'll just stand up and show you what that looks like in standing, if you can just see me. You can still see me okay?
Yeah, I can still see
you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is pretty neutral. I'm not perfect by any stretch, but if I've got a baby here, then I'll stick my bottom out and let baby weigh me down at the front. And you can see my pelvis is tilted forward from neutral. Okay, so this is typical. I'm going to get some back pain. I'll probably get a bit of back pain up here because I'm kind of pulling backwards on the baby. Okay, the other option, this is kind of called lordosis. The other option is, quite commonly, ladies, instead of keeping their pelvis neutral, they'll just let their hips sink forward. So when you see like baby kind of carried high, they're leaning forward to sort of support underneath their baby. What this does though is you say it's the centre of gravity right down here at the bottom of your back, the SIJ here. Loads of people get pelvic pain and back pain here. So when I'm leaning forward like this, it also switches my bottom muscles off. So quite often, if you have a bit of a prod and you're pregnant, you'll find that these aren't really doing much and you can't really squeeze them very well because you can sit in this position through your joints through pregnancy. So one simple way, probably post-pregnancy, once you've said, you know what, I'm carrying a baby, I'm going to have to do it this way. Once you're not pregnant anymore, a key way to get back off the back is simply to get your pelvis in line with your feet. And so hips over heels. Whether you've been doing this or doing this, if you keep your hips over your heels and feel the weight through your heels as opposed to the front of your feet or, like this, that will help your body to sort of restore its natural pelvic alignment and therefore going up the chain. If I'm sticking my bottom out, I'm sticking my chest out. If I'm like this with my hips forward, I'm sort of slumped to the top. So hips over heels is my number one tip for regaining posture in a really easy way. Just make sure you're reminding yourself, cup of tea, chatting to a friend, hips over heels. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really good advice. And something I say to my clients is, if you're walking past a shop window, have a look as you're walking past and look at your posture and see where you are. Are you exactly what you said? Your hips kind of, pushed forward? Is your tummy out in front of you? And ask partner as well to pay attention, because often when you're in a new position, that becomes your norm and you don't really know how it feels to be in the correct, perfect posture. So asking other people to pay attention to how you look and even how your clothes fit you as well. If you've got lines on your clothes, where are they? Are there a line? They're sort of really good techniques as well to have a look at your own posture. So really good.
And when actually you just said about, it becomes normal, your posture, that's actually really significant, especially as we get older. So maybe if you're menopausal ladies who are a bit worried about kind of feeling a bit hunched and that kind of classic hunched over look of getting older. Well, actually, when I used to work with older people, we tried to obviously rehabilitate them, get them to stand upright, and they genuinely felt like they were falling backwards, because their brain had spent so long in that forward flex position that this was upright to them. And to try and straighten them, it made them feel frightened and they couldn't. So their ears and their brain, which decide where balance is really, had spent so much time in that position. So if you want to improve your posture and if you want to have good posture for life and want to avoid those stereotypes of what an old person looks like, then it really is crucial to get your brain thinking the right way, believing that upright is upright rather than not really being aware of where you are in space. And so the sooner you can do that and the more consistently you can do that, those 90-year-old ladies who are tiny and wizened but actually have beautiful static posture, we all want to be like them, I think, when we're 90. So now really is the time, as soon as possible, to raise that awareness. I often say to my clients as well, get someone to take a picture of you in the office when you're not looking, not when you're thinking I'm on show. Get your mate to do it. And some really funny but quite shocking ones come back, and we all do it. But if you can change it 50% of the time, then that's going to make a difference to your ears and your brain. It's going to give your brain an idea that there's a variety of postures. It's not just this one constant slump posture down here. Okay?
Definitely.
So it applies to everyone.
Definitely. And so in terms of pregnancy, it's really important that you have optimal posture while you're pregnant for lots of reasons. And as the baby grows, your ability to digest food becomes less comfortable. So your posture has something to do with that as well. If you have in a better posture, then you've got more room. But also then there's a transition through to childbirth. And so the techniques that I teach can help with having less trauma during childbirth and not having a episiotomy. And, I also encourage my clients to massage their perineum as well prior to giving birth. Probably I think it's 32, start practicing that. And we do visualization about the body opening, the vagina opening like a flower, natural, and how that allows baby to come out. But then when they get home, and I think what I've noticed, when women get home, they forget, like you've said, they've just had a baby, and, the trauma that physically happened to them. So, and breastfeeding, a lot of women tend to be, in this position forwards. And so in terms of looking after themselves postnatally, what would you suggest?
Well, I'm saying this with a huge caveat of, I know it's probably the hardest time of your life and you've never done this before and you're exhausted. So I'll give you my advice, but I agree that it's not possible 100% of the time. But I think the first thing, as you say, is deciding to look after yourself, not just looking after the baby, not just trying to be dressed in time for people to come around for cups of tea. Really genuinely think, what do I need now? And it might be things such as finding the right chair, maybe having a bit of shopping time before you have your baby to find a chair, lift baby up to you. Practice maybe with a couple of pillows or something so you can sit propped up in an upright position. It's an effortless task to breastfeed. Baby should be held here by something other than you, and your back should be in a comfortable position. I'm not saying that you have to be in a perfect upright position, but make sure if you're reclining, make sure you're supported throughout your back. So you're not having to, do too much work at the same time as you're nourishing your first child. So that's one of the things. In terms of the cot, if you possibly can, get one that has a raising base, because how many times do you go in and go, there, darling, pick up baby, and then you hold them, bend them over, they start crying, pick them up again, bend them over, they start crying. And then when you slowly lower them down into the depths of their very low cot, all of that is work on your back, which has just done 9 months of overtime. So things like raising the baby up to you, or getting somebody else to share that load a little bit. Other things such as if you're nappy changing, try really to bend at the knees and the hips, not just the back. So again, I'll quickly demonstrate because I see this a lot. Ladies are taught to, again, tummy in, chest out, stand tall. And so we bend a lot like this, which is all the back doing the work. So what you need to be is like a harmonica. We need to bend at the knees and the hips and go down. So we're bending like this, okay? So let the knees and the hips, these big muscles here, let them do the work. Don't let your back do the work, because it's always going to hurt if you do that 100 times a day. The other thing I like, my top tip, is position. So you talked a little bit about digestion and processing the food that you might be super hungry when you're pregnant, or you might be eating slightly the wrong things that bum you up a little bit, or pregnancy probably does that anyway. You may have piles that might be sore. there's a lot going on. And again, people don't want to talk about it. And you think, oh God, this is going to be over in a few months. And then you forget about it and put yourself to the back of the queue again. Something really simple is about toilet posture. And so again, I'll just demo things down a little bit so you can see. I'm going to grab my stool.
Really important here, this is.
Okay, so this is my travel stool, but imagine I'm sitting on the toilet. Okay, there's not this platform here. So again, if you're sitting watching this, so if my hips are higher than my knees, I'm a little person, so I'm always on my toes when I'm on the toilet. Okay, my knees are usually lower than my hips. If my hips are higher than my knees, okay, that kind of tilts my pelvis forward a little bit, which mimics me standing up actually. And that closes your pelvic floor, it kind of switches on your pelvic floor and tightens it. What I want to do on the toilet is to let that pelvic floor relax because it's holding the sphincters tight and not letting us do it. But if I put my feet on a little box, like a basket I've got, okay, knees up, tilt your pelvis back slightly, and it just relaxes that pelvic floor. And if you to pop your feet on that so your knees are slightly higher than your hips, honestly, that will just help things move as they should. Try and breathe abdomen like you were saying, relax, let the rest of the digestive nervous system start to do its job. But if you're on tippy toes and you're always rushing off, give yourself that time, give yourself a little footstool, nothing, like we don't want a deep squat or anything like that. Knees just slightly above hips, and that will help with things coming out naturally.
Yeah. Really, really, really good. I definitely advise my clients to get their knees higher as well. It's brilliant, and a lot of people don't know that. And pushing again.
So simple.
Yeah, and again, if you are constipated, postnatal or even while you're pregnant, going out for a walk, making sure you're drinking lots of water, some movement, and having some fibre, some lots of vegetables that people forget about, particularly when you've had a new baby. A lot of women are very good at looking after themselves while they're pregnant because they've got a little baby growing inside them. But equally, when the baby is here and you're at home, your body is still really, really important, because if you're breastfeeding, you need all those nutrients anyway, and to help have good quality milk so it keeps your baby happy. So, it's really, really important to eat well, to avoid constipation, not just for your pelvic floor health, but also for your recovery as well.
Yeah, I think there's also an aspect of the stress side of things. I often hear mums saying, or you read blogs, don't you, and mums saying, oh, if only I could get 30 seconds in the bathroom to myself. That kind of stress element of what I've just got to be there, I'm too late, I need to be with my kids. And people don't allow themselves that time. And in the same way that I think we all admit to, and we're all familiar with tension being felt in our neck and our shoulders. We feel like tight here. But the body actually holds it in your pelvic floor as well. But nobody either knows that or feels it or thinks, oh, that's a bit mumbo jumbo. How can that be true? Whereas, of course, it is. And so if you think about the scenario where you've got a 3-year-old, you've got a newborn, you're on your own, you really need the loo, but you have been constipated or a bit sore still. So you kind of have a bit avoidance behaviour about going to the loo. And then you go to the loo and you're straining and the kid's screaming and. The pelvic floor is never going to let go of that because you're in fight or flight mode. So what you were saying about caring for yourself for 2 minutes, letting your pelvic floor settle down, going for a good poo so you're not sore, the next time, and not anxious about it. Giving yourself those 2 minutes that isn't going to change anything in terms of minute extra that you get to calm yourself down, I think, and let your body restore its own pattern. Otherwise, you're literally putting your life on hold for a baby that doesn't know the difference between now and 2 minutes time, really.
Exactly, yeah. And the techniques I teach throughout my course, teach a lot of anchoring, so you can anchor a feeling of calmness to just touching your thumb and breathing techniques and the visualization. All of that isn't just about while you're pregnant or just for the birth. It's while it's for life, really, you know, and they are at that time when you are highly stressed because you've got a newborn baby, and they will absolutely help you, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely. And the breathing techniques, you know, the upward breathing technique that I teach at the beginning, all of that is helping your body heal, bringing your abdominals, help to bring your abdominals back together again. I mean, what do you think about, because, you know, I know about the knack instead of doing pelvic floor exercises. So if a woman's holding a baby and she's standing up with holding a baby, I mean, I think what I would advise my clients to actually put baby down and then stand up, rather than standing up, holding, you know, from a seated position, holding the baby. What do you think to that? Oh, I've lost you. Hello. Hello. Catherine, it looks like I've lost you. Ah, okay, yes, I've lost you too. Okay, well, we'll probably end then this call, because looks like I've lost Catherine. So anyway, ladies, Catherine is in Nottingham. She's Acadia Therapy in Nottingham. She's based in Nottingham. And if you have any pelvic floor issues or worries, please don't just accept that. Don't accept it. You know, please seek advice and get some help. Have a look down below, see whether post birth, and make sure that everything's fine. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm smarterchange.co.uk, and you can also go to my website and download a free easy birthing recording as well. All right, so we'll see you soon. Thank you. If you have any questions, don't forget you can actually type them in below. Okay, bye-bye.